Hello, Berserk here. So here's my hot take on how to mix and master a song. First, you gotta balance your song, not just on the mixer right here on the mixer, but also on the instrument itself. When should what instrument play what? When should they play? When should they do the rhythm, the leads, and all that stuff? When a song should be in a section be more quieter and more minimalistic, and one should be more hyped and more energetic. Usually the energetic sections we leave them for the choruses or the drops, and then the verses or the core foundation of the song we leave them with a bit of energy but a bit more minimalistic compared to the chorus or the drop. And then the next thing you do after that is done, and keep in mind that this is my way of mixing and mastering. There's no particular way of doing it. It could vary, it can change depending on the person, depending on the style of music, and depending on what instruments are you using. You know, if it's analog instruments, electronical instruments, digital, acoustic drums, guitars, percussion, a whole orchestra, a band, a duo, a vocalist in a MIDI programmed instrumental. You know, it depends on the style and what format of producing you're going for. So after you have a nice balance of the verses and the choruses, and then in the mixer work with the faders or the pinchiometers and see where things can be louder and things can be quieter. After you have that done, you gotta go for EQing, and then in the EQ section, usually I do subtractive EQing instead of adding more frequencies. Which what I do is, if this instrument is meant to stay on the higher frequencies or in the mid highs, I mix it. I EQ it until I feel that it's staying on that range and not going to other frequency ranges that it could muddy up other instruments. Then, if it's, for example, a bass, I try to take out not everything, but the frequencies that I think are not helping on the higher registers, and then on the lower registers, I try to keep it as clean as possible and boost it a little bit, whatnot. And then on higher frequency instruments or mid frequency instruments, I try to really delete and take out almost all the lower frequencies by either adding a low cut or something like that, or actually removing low frequencies on the low of the EQ. And then after that, I like to compress the song, the instruments based on chorus and verses, each individual instruments, until they all sound like a cohesive sound, not going some loud, some low, and it feels all over the place. I try to have a consistent sound. That's why I compress. Then after that, if the instrument requires me to add some effect, I'll add an effect, whether it is stereo delay, delay, echo, reverb, or I could do that from a bus send, or I can add some any effects that I have that can reverse it, or add some distortion, some overdrive, because they're two different things. Distortion just distorts the sound. Overdrive just gives it an extra boost on the frequencies that are they're gonna give us that hi-fi sound, And then I could probably, but I don't do this too much, but I could probably add an envelope and work on the attack and the release. The decay, I don't work on it that much, but the attack and the release a little bit, so it can feel a bit better, but I don't do that often. And then after that, I go in and then just balance a bit more of the stuff. And after I have all that stuff done, I start adding the different sections, and start tweaking each section as much as possible until I feel satisfied with what I have already done. And then after that, once everything is completely balanced, mixed, EQ'd, compressed, added the few effects that I needed to add here and there, whether I did them straight on the DAW or I added the effects on the external hardware that I have here that has built-in effects, resonance, envelope, decay, some accents, some distortion, some VCF, some work with the LFOs and whatnot. Whether I did them physically with the hardware or I did them with the software on the DAW, I once I have that done, I go to the mastering part. After I have the mastering part done, which I mean the mixing, and then I do the mastering, I add some compression. I have my own track rack already saved as a preset, so I don't have to be doing it all the time. So what I do is I add a compressor, I add a multimeter so I can know if things are picking correctly in the LFUs and the UFs, and if it stay on the -6, between -6 and -12 LFU, that's good to know, because if not, the major music platforms are gonna compress it more so they can lower that or boost that, and it might ruin your initial mix. Then I add a limiter so it doesn't go above -1, because I don't like it to like most of the people do, they leave it to 0. I don't like that because it sounds too loud and then it makes your ears fatigue. So I try not to fatigue the people. And then so I add a limiter so it doesn't go past -1, but usually it stays on the -6 to -12, around that area. It's fairly nice for me. And then I add a linear EQ. The difference in Logic Pro X, the difference between a channel EQ and a linear EQ is that the channel EQ adds color. The linear EQ only removes frequencies without altering the timbre or the tone of the song. It just takes out the frequency. And then after that, if it's a cheap tuning song, I add some big crush to the whole entire thing, so I can make it sound either 8-bit or 16-bit. I don't go 32 like some consoles used to do, but you know. And yeah, that's my method of mixing, mastering. And one thing to note that I want you to keep in your head: every time that you're mixing, mastering, programming, composing, whether it is with real instruments, with electronical hardware, or with VSTs, always try to compose the music in a way that it doesn't give the listener a fatigued ear. What does a fatigued ear mean? It means that it feels too much, and then when they turn off the music, their ears feel they feel heavy, they ring too much, or it gives you a headache, you know? Because you gotta give the listener some time to feel relaxed, sometimes to feel energetic, and that relaxed and energetic going passing by and back and forth thing, it has to do with the genre and the style. There's no one way of doing that relaxed and energetic back and forth thing. It's based on the way that the song is styled, you know. So that's my hot take on how to mix, master a song and arrange it. And once you do that, you should have a pleasant song to release to every major music platform, and probably to cassette tapes, vinyl, and CDs. And if you have a track, then sure. So yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for being awesome. I'll catch you on the flip side. Adios, amigos. Sayonara. Bye. Don't forget to follow me on every social network and click the bell to get notified and subscribe. Super important. And now that you're listening to Under Unsucked, you're now listening with power. Power to the music. See ya.
Sayonara.
When you listen to Andrew Van Zark, you listen with power. Now you're listening with power. Andrew Van Zark. Stream on every major music platform. Power to the music.